Hello, everybody, and good morning. This is Ed from the Morning Goals, and I'm here with my colleague Cody. And hi, Cody. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. So, Cody, where are you at right now?
I am in Texas, in Rockport, Texas, outside of Dallas,
Beautiful.
at a Starbucks. So I'm outside, enjoying some warm weather. Thank goodness,
Okay.
and just enjoying the day.
Enjoying the day. I love it. So, Cody, our topic today is goal setting. Do you do goals?
I do. I am a huge fan of goals. I'm a list maker,
Okay.
constantly creating lists, checking them off. And I'm the type of person that I'll even add things to my list that I've already done just to feel extra productive.
Okay.
Uh, absolutely.
Okay, very good. So this is an important topic that I'm going to launch into about goal setting and why we should do goal setting. So I use this example all the time. So I sometimes give speeches to high school kids or junior high kids or even adults, and I say, "What do you want to?" Let's start with that simple question of what do you want to do when you grow up? And somebody will say, "Do you? I want to be an NFL player," and I'm like, "Okay, do you play football?" Or I want to become a professional basketball player. I'm like, okay, are you practicing every single day to become a professional basketball player? And 99% of the time they say no to one of those questions or when they answer. So what I tell people is you need to make sure to understand that like wherever you want to go, wherever you want to get, you need to put it in your GPS so that you can get to where you need to get so that when you're going in the right direction. And a lot of times people start on Z when they should be starting on A. And a lot of times they don't understand how to get to Z because they've never actually laid out a path forward to get to that place. Okay. And so as part of the morning goals is in our name. The general idea is for us to help you work on goals, make these overwhelming goals more tangible and more effective, but also sort of guide you into the right path. Okay. Now we talk about, there's a lot of things about goal setting that we can go into and dive into. And I'm going to kind of talk about a few of those things. And then Cody asks questions. As you all know, we're streaming live on both YouTube, Facebook, and Clubhouse. So we're super excited. But benefits of goal setting. And then we'll talk about what you should be doing to stay motivated, to stay, on the right track. So one, if you goal set, it gets you into the right direction, as I stated before. It's moving you on the path, and that's important. Number two, energy and motivation. So if you don't know where you're going, back to my GPS and my car analogy, you might feel overwhelmed. And if you're lost, you might freak out, right? So you're driving in your car, you're somewhere in rural Texas, your GPS isn't working, you don't have a paper map, and you don't know which is north, south, east, or west, which direction is which, you're going to feel lost. So by writing them down and seeing this list or this process, these things that you need to do, it will keep you motivated, it will keep you calm, and it'll keep you energized. Number three, I always talk about stress levels. So a lot of us feel overwhelmed because we're thinking about that end big project, right? And we're not thinking about the smaller steps we need to do to get there. And so your stress level will go down if you start making these lists. And then also it gives you a reward, right? So once you check something off your list or you cross it off your list, that's some immediate gratification that will help you feel better that you are doing what you need to be doing. The fourth thing is also keeping you focused. So again, back to my driving example, I recommended to Cody that he should download an app as he's driving across the country called Roadside America. That app gets you off of the path on purpose. So you're driving on Interstate 35. You might want to take some detours, but you're always coming back. So by you writing down your to-do list or your goals, it will help you sort of stay focused and stay on the right path, or always come back to that focus and to that path. So those are the benefits of goal setting. There's a million other ones, but I don't want to touch on it from a very high level. Now, how to goal set. Okay, number one, sticky notes with little boxes. So I have sticky notes in front of me, and that's one way that you guys can do this. So if you're a visual learner, you can use different colors, right? Red is the most important, or pink. Then the least important, the most common ones, right? Yellow or green or blue, and come up with a coding system. I have a big whiteboard behind me as well. So when things pop into my head, I kind of write sort of high level stuff on my whiteboard. Number three, your phone. Your phone in your to-do list allows you to automate some of these things in the form of reminders, but you could also have little bubbles that you can click to give you little check marks, which is kind of makes you feel good that like you're using technology to your advantage. Now, there's two bigger types of or strategies when we talk about goal setting. One that you'll hear all the time is what's called SMART goals. So SMART is spelled S-M-A-R-T. So SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about those things, and then I'm going to tell you the morning goals method. So specific means don't say I want to lose weight. That's not specific enough. Say I want to reduce my calories by 100 every meal, or I want to lose 5 pounds, by the end of the month. Okay, so that's specific, being very specific. Measurable. I want to feel happy. While that's important, and you might definitely want to feel happy, I think we all want to feel happy. What does that mean? How do you measure your happiness from 1 to 10? Okay, so maybe it's not I want to feel happy. Maybe I want to do 2 things for myself, which include self-care and blah, 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 right? Being more specific, but it's also measurable because those 2 things, if you do those 2 things, then you can check off that you did those things towards your happiness. Attainable. I have this conversation with a lot of my clients. Before you can make billions of dollars, you need to make millions of dollars. And before you make millions of dollars, you need to make thousands of dollars. And before you make thousands of dollars, you need to make hundreds of dollars, right? So making sure that that end goal is attainable. And these smaller goals will kind of get you there. Realistically, I probably will never become a billionaire. I might, but realistically, maybe that may not be a goal. Maybe financial independence is more realistic than me becoming a billionaire. And if I do, fantastic. You guys can watch this video and say, or not. And then time bound, meaning don't leave things on your plate forever, never, 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 never again. Give yourself a deadline, meaning I'm going to lose, 5 pounds by going to the gym 5 times a week, eating 100 less calories by May 15th, right? That time bound creates a sense of urgency, but it also creates a sense of people generally do well with timelines and deadlines. Adults especially, it's part of our accountability, so it helps you be accountable. So that's one way from goal setting, and I specifically told Cody as we were working on our blog this week not to talk about SMART goals. So there's that. So that's one way to goal set. At the Morning Goals, Rolla's my other company, sorry. So what I recommend is you do 3 goals per day. Now, the reason I say 3 goals per day is that we tend to punish ourselves. Okay, so some people have overwhelming lists of thousands and thousands and thousands of things they want to do. And because it's so big, then they get overwhelmed and don't do it. Okay. So what I tell everybody is if you do 3 goals per day, it's going to help you with those small wins. So it's going to help you emotionally. It's going to keep you focused because you're going to kind of refer back to those 3 lists and allows you to be distracted. Like you might go off the path, but you're going to come back to that goal, or you're going to go off the path and you're going to come back to that second goal or that third goal. And it's going to be achievable and less overwhelming. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't keep track of all the things that you need to do, but maybe the list that's in front of you has those 3 goals. So 1 is the hardest goal first. Now, I say this because we tend to put off the hardest things forever, and we keep putting it off and we keep putting off and we keep putting it off. My recommendation is do that first when you're fresh, when you're emotionally whole, when you wake up in the morning and when you feel good about the day. So today's April 15th, right? So today in the normal world post-COVID, this would be tax day, or this is tax. I think we have an extension until June 15th now, but let's assume today is tax day. For all intended purposes, today's tax day. 99% of us hate to do taxes. If there's anybody out there who loves to do taxes, by all means, send me a message. I want to understand why you like to do taxes. But if you hate doing taxes, do taxes first. Okay, so I need to go through 3 accounts. So this is one of my goals tomorrow, to get reimbursed from one of my companies for my personal expenses that I've been putting on my personal credit card or bank card. I don't want to sit there to go through bank statements from January until now on 2 different accounts to be able to do this. So I don't like doing that, right? But so that's number 1. The morning goals is you do the hardest one first. So tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. when I wake up, that's the hardest one. The second part of this is that you should always do the most important one second as part of the morning goals philosophy. The second is that if you're doing the most important one second, you have to do it. So therefore, it's an easy win. You're forcing yourself to do it. It's an easy win. And then number 3 is what I call the icing on the cake. And the icing on the cake should be something that makes you feel good, something that you might have to do, or something just whatever, right? It could be a hard one. It could be an easy one. It could be icing, whatever, right? But that's just your third one. And so if you can do those 3 things, the hardest one first, the second one is the most important, and then the third one, the icing on the cake, I guarantee you're going to find yourself being more productive, staying on task, being focused, and your stress level will go down. Okay. So these are all that's the morning goals philosophy. So I just introduced the SMART goals, but also the morning goals. So, okay. So I'm going to throw it over to my friend Cody, and we have Delaney on Clubhouse as well. So what do you guys got for me? Cody?
Perfect. I just had to unmute myself really quick. So one of the things that you touched on is this idea of punishment, and punishing ourselves. Can you kind of give some examples of what that might look like? Because I think I've seen it a lot in my own life. The more we kind of talked about goal setting and what that looks like in a healthy relationship, or having a healthy relationship with goals and goal setting. And I think that one might sneak in under the radar, and a lot of people might be doing that, but they might not realize that they're doing that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cody, punishment is like so common, and people, you're right, absolutely, like they don't realize that they're doing it. So I give homework to people as part of my coaching practice, and as part of that's my business philosophy is you have to do homework. I'm going to use this example. I told coaches that I was working with that they needed to work on their business 1 hour per day for 5 days. Okay. And then kind of put that on repeat. But if you're not working on a consistent and regular basis, I gave them a tangible goal, right? 1 hour, very specific, every single day on their business, marketing related, not just like learning, but like marketing related. So it's very specific. I got a comment recently saying, "Hey, Ed, thank you very much. I haven't been able to do my 1 hour a day. So on Saturday, I'm going to do 3 hours." No, that is a form of punishment. So on Saturday, what you're only supposed to do 1 hour. You're not compounding this stress, and whatever happened. I tell everybody, you're at where you need to be right now. That's very important. I'm gonna say that again. You're at where you need to be at right now. And if you are unable or unwilling subconsciously to do 1 hour a day for 5 days, that's okay. So on Saturday, you do not punish yourself by doing or forcing yourself to do 3 hours. You start with that 1 hour. Now, if you have time to do more and you feel good about it and you're feeling in a happy place, then you can do more. But your minimum is not to compound that punishment, right? So before you add stuff to your either the morning goals or your SMART goals, focus on those things that you have to do, or remove them to a different page, move your sticky to a bank of stuff where you don't see it, but it's not punishment. It's a stuff, those are reminders now, and they're not necessarily goals, and you're not going to compound yourself and punish yourself. But it's very common. We all have done that example that I just said.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry, there we go. Now I'm unmuted. Thank you so much. Another thing that kind of came to mind is, so this idea with the morning goals method is you're essentially focusing on these almost mini goals, right? They're like three goals that you pick each day. What about for those people who have these grandiose visions of their futures and they're working towards those kind of high level goals?
Yep.
Is this method still appropriate for them?
Absolutely. So we're all working on high level goals. That's what I tell everybody. But let's say we want to take our business, the morning goals, public on the New York Stock Exchange. That's a big and hefty goal, right? That has a lot of parts. It's going to cost thousands, if not millions of dollars. What's going to create teams, lots of teams, marketing teams, PR teams, etc. So yes, I still have to start somewhere. And part of you goal setting, like for example, in business, it's creating a business plan and a marketing plan. Those plans, right, are the smaller steps to get to the bigger goal at the end, right? And so absolutely, the biggest problem I think that a lot of like CEOs have is lack of communicating their vision. So their vision gets lost once it sort of disseminates to lower to in the hierarchy of things to other people, the managers and the directors and the coordinators and things like that. And so by setting goals and letting people know those goals, you're going to, be able to reach those loftier, bigger projects. And I think there's no such thing as huge. We're all working on something important in our lives, right? And so that's something important, that all of these things are compounded. Now, there's some statistics that have shown that if you write down your goals as your first step, but also tell somebody your goals, you are more likely to achieve them. And that's when we talk about like having a coach, accountability partners, things like that, or just telling the world, I'm going to do this today, whether it's your partner or your loved one or somebody on Facebook that you're chatting with or on Instagram, and say, today I'm going to do these goals. You're more likely to do them. So I said, tomorrow, Friday, I'm going to work on my reimbursement report. I've told you this. Delaney's listening on Clubhouse. So chances are, statistically, it will get done tomorrow.
Perfect.
Hi, Delaney. Yep. 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 Yeah, sure. So Delaney on Clubhouse asked, How do we communicate our goals to others while dealing with the stressors or stress of higher level goals and vision, right? Probably more like visions, right? So that's a lot there, Delaney. Let me see how I can parse this out. So one is the habit of sharing your goals is something we all need to work on. A lot of us are not, we don't have the habit of sharing in our goals and talking to people and telling them what we're doing, type of thing. So find your circle of trust. At my practice at the Morning Goals, I talk about finding your cheerleaders so that people understand that you have the support system for those goals, number one. Number two, when you communicate your goals, I would say that back to that sort of being specific from the SMART goal thing is tell people your goals and why you're doing them. So I have a robust internship program at one of my companies, and every time I ask somebody to do something, they understand why they are doing that research project or whatever, because I want them to learn from it. So why are we writing down our goals? Well, we're writing down our goals because I get distracted, or I'm unfocused, or I have a lot of things to do that I forget, right? So people who know me my mind is always spinning. And so I write my goals down because I forget them. And so I need to visualize them and see them and work with them. So communicating the why you're doing these things is important as well. And then the sort of that stress of the bigger picture. Generally, and this is a mindset thing, I think we need to focus on the bigger picture because that is our motivator. But in reality, we need to break down that bigger picture into smaller, tangible goals, right? And I think that's where the hard one first, most important, and then icing on the cake helps you from that bigger perspective. So while I want to, make $5 million of revenue for the Morning Goals, right? I need to focus on forming my team. And then this is how I'm going to form them. And then the why is because I need support both administratively, operationally, and marketing, right? Number two, I need to focus on my client. And that means I need to have a protocol to work with my clients, follow up with my clients on a regular basis and communicate, help them reach their goals, and then also then focus on new clients and obtaining new clients through the form of discovery calls. Why? Because that brings revenue, so I could then pay my team and then make my $5 million coaching practice realistically, right? So what I did there was I have the number in my head, the 5 million. I have it posted right here in front of me. But I'm creating smaller goals. And there's a why I'm doing these things, right? And so I think Cody and Delaney have seen that example that I just gave you. They're seeing this because they both work for the Morning Goals, and I formed my team first. I've sort of separated out sort of what each person is doing, and the why is because I need that support so I can then focus on the clients. We're now seeing more clients, like growing the business coming in, and then we're on our way to making this a multi-million-dollar practice. But me as a visionary, I need to be focused on these smaller things to keep pushing things forward, right? Okay, good job. Good question. Cody, last question. Let's bring her home.
Yeah. So just the last question is, any general advice when it comes to goal setting that we didn't already cover on? Any tips or tricks or last minute kind of pearls of wisdom that you would have for people?
So very simple. If you don't make lists, start making lists. Checklists are very important, and they help us stay on track. So if you're not a list writer, remember, start with 3 and go and just start with that, and then check them off and refer that and carry it. Number 2, make it convenient for you. Like, right, if you're always playing on your phone, use your phone as a tool to goal set and to make it convenient. Now that sounds silly, but I know so many people who use their phone for entertainment, and they don't understand that it is, one, a business tool, and two, an education tool, right? And I say that and people are like, oh, duh. You'd be surprised at how many people are willing to use their phone for entertainment purposes, but when you ask them to go learn something on it, they can't make that transition to learning from their phone or using it as a productivity tool. So make it convenient to you. And the third thing is find your accountability buddy, your cheerleading friend, or someone that you can tell that you're doing these things, or you need to do these things on purpose, so that you can put it out to the world and then achieve them and stay on the right path, right? And if you have any questions, contact me at themorninggoals.com. There's my plug for themorninggoals.com. So Coddy, thank you very much. That was awesome. Delaney on Clubhouse, thank you very much as well. For those of you who are watching this on the rerun, make sure you guys go to themorninggoals.com. I'm going to put it up right there, where you can get some free resources on our resources page. You can send us a message. But if you go to YouTube or Facebook as well, which is at The Morning Goals, you can find all of these videos on rerun and watch them and use them as resources. So what we might do is we might create a simple goal setting thing, resource for you guys to download and use, something very generic and simple, because that's what we want. Simplicity, which is the model here at The Morning Goals, is effective. And with that, Coddy, thank you very much. Delaney, thank you very much. And everybody, I'll see you at themorninggoals.com.